What's up, Dodger fans? Right when Clayton Kershaw can't get any better, he goes ahead and he gets better. We're going to talk about his ridiculous performance at Wrigley today. We'll look back at the NLDS and look forward to the rest of the NLCS, all on this week's Dodgers Wrap 360.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh yeah, get it, get it, get it. Oh yeah, and Los Angeles is exactly where the Dodgers are coming to after getting a split in Chicago versus allegedly the NL's best team, the Chicago Cubs. How we doing, gang?
We're doing great now that we won.
Yeah, nice.
Now it's a series. It's coming back to LA 1-1.
That's it. Guys, alongside Hunter Marks and Joshua Gershon, I'm Mike Conley. Welcome to another edition of Dodgers Wrap 360. If you want to join our relevant discussion, there's a couple ways you can do so. Guys, you want to let them know your Twitters so you can they can jump in on that account?
You can tweet me at Hunter_Marks on Twitter.
And me, I am at Gersh13 on Twitter and Instagram.
There you go. You can also climb aboard the YouTube chat room at youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV and look at the Dodgers Wrap 360 and hit us up in there. Let us know what you want to talk about Dodgers-wise. But, I mean, what a night it is to be a Dodger fan. I mean, Clayton Kershaw pitching in his third game in 5 days, ridiculously, goes 7 scoreless, and then Kenley comes out, gets the other 2. It's just how Dave Roberts likes to draw it up. Bingo, bango, 1-1 split.
Yeah, who needs middle relievers? these two guys got it.
Right?
This was arguably Clayton's best postseason performance yet. And he's certainly doing a fine job repairing that reputation he has from previous seasons. So it was really kind of great to see him kind of just go out there and just be as dominant as he was. Great win.
It was, it was one of those things where it's like, he's gonna have to turn the corner somewhere, somehow. He's gonna do it. He's too good not to do it. And we've talked about it on this show that 2 months off we think would have helped him for this playoff run. He hasn't been carrying the team on his back for the entire season. So this was the performance we wanted in Chicago. 2 hits, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Wasn't really ever in trouble. If he gets that call against Baez, that he was very upset he didn't
Mad Dog and the umpire.
that ball never even gets hit to the warning track. It would have been a strikeout. So.
See, that's when I know it's time for Clayton to come out of the game, when he starts getting emotional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Because that kind of happened to him the other night. I was like, uh-oh, it's going dark. But we'll come back to this in a little bit. We got to go back and talk about the NLDS. What an amazing series.
Oh, yeah. Hats off to the Nats.
Absolutely, yes.
They're a good team. That was a...
Spoken like a true winner right there.
Yeah, right.
You can't bask in there. You gotta give some props.
That series could have easily gone the other way. With the way that team was swinging and pitching, that was a battle.
So, yeah, I mean, we were talking on this program last week after a 1-1 start about how we didn't want to go back to Washington, D.C., but after that 8-3 drubbing in Game 3, it was like, oh, we want to go back to D.C. But, I mean, that game was a lot closer than it was. Kenley, kind of an aberration, giving up the 4 runs there in 1 inning or whatever. But other than that, the bullpen has been pretty good. And, it's been pretty good all year. And
it's the starting pitching has kind of worried me a little bit. We talked about this before with Kenta, though. What you had from him pretty early on. If he's giving up runs those first 3 innings, you're in for a long night. Yeah. And he's kind of been living up to that here in the playoffs a little bit too.
Well, I thought he looked much better in his Game 1 start in the Cubs series.
I did. I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I thought maybe he got pulled a little early, actually.
So I agreed with that too. I also thought no one hit him hard. While they scored some runs, it wasn't like they were hitting the ball 100 miles an hour off the bat. It was just they were just kind of finding holes.
Absolutely.
More than anything else.
Absolutely.
So, to me, I thought he did pitch pretty solid. Yeah. It was Washington. He struggled. The guys were kind of ripping him in that game.
Yeah.
But that's like you've been saying all season. It's the Jekyll and Hyde with Maeda. that's just kind of who he is. And you know, hey, we still got 16 wins this year, so can't complain too much.
Not bad for a rookie.
Yeah.
Do you think he throws too many pitches? I've thought a lot about this. Coming from the Japanese leagues, which the talent is not as good as obviously the major leagues. And he throws what, about 4 different pitches or variations of pitches? And if it's working, like you said, he got 16 wins this season. But I'm wondering at some point as his major league career progresses, if he's really kind of really honing in on just a few pitches and maybe dropping one, because it seems like he throws a lot of different types. He's very much a finesse pitcher. So.
Yeah, I think, you know, as a finesse pitcher, you definitely need at least 3. But, yeah, potentially.
I may be overthinking this. I've thought a lot. There's a lot there. So
I've never known a one to you to overthink that. Oh, zing.
yeah.
How about that game 4 and like?
Oh, I was there. That was
nice.
Yeah,
So
that was
jealous.
nuts.
Did you go to 3 and 4?
I did. I did go to 3 and 4.
We were at 3 texting
Yeah,
each
we were
other.
texting each other at 3.
The 4-hour game.
And then game 4 was even longer somehow.
At least a little more exciting.
Yeah, but it was that game 4. I was with my wife, my father, and my sister, and when they brought Baez in, I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Why is Blanton not coming in this game at this moment?"
Right.
That was my biggest thing. I thought that was the reason you have him. This is like this
For that moment.
For that
The
moment,
exact moment.
You know, Baez has now proven time and time again he cannot come in any kind of high leverage situation at all. You know, it was when I was just begging for Blanton to come in that game. That to me was the move. Was you bring in Blanton, you get it shut down. You know, Baez comes in and Beansworth on the first pitch. It was just and I actually had to get up and walk away. I actually had to get up and walk on the concourse for a little bit because I was so mad he didn't bring in Blanton in that situation.
A little cool down moment.
A little bit, man. That was rough.
I agree with you. I was hoping to come in Blanton that time, but I mean that's just kind of Doc's way. You know, I mean, we've been frustrated all the time about his constant, you know, confidence in rolling Baez out there as like the first guy. But I mean, that's really his way, and it's kind of like you can't argue with it. He just continues to give these guys confidence till they get the confidence in themselves, and then hopefully, you know, when they're put into a big situation, they can produce.
What was it?
Because we haven't seen the last of Baez in this.
No, and he
playoffs.
pitched, but he did pitch. What did he get? 4 outs the other day?
Yeah.
Not on game 1. Didn't he come in and get 4 outs?
Yeah.
And he looked good. But that wasn't. I mean, they were down 4 to 3.
Yeah,
to
that
1.
wasn't a high pressure.
Yeah, it wasn't a high
situation.
pressure. And then I told my wife, I said, this is when you bring Baez in.
Right.
Is in this kind of situation. I said, you can't do it when there's pressure on.
Yeah.
I don't know how many more examples we need where he's going to fold.
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, but in a situation like that where you're up. Maybe you're up 3-1, you're down 3-1. Yeah, he's going to come in and he's going to get strikes, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's just you can't bring him in when men are on base like that. It's just, and apparently from what I saw, you can't bring Chapman in when men are on base.
Right.
For a guy who throws 103 miles per hour and actually kind of consistently for strikes, the Dodgers have been a pretty good job of making contact on that. That Gonzo hit the other night for against the Cubs last night was huge.
That
tied the game,
and it looked like it looks like he's coming out of his slump.
I would say
yes.
so. Yeah.
That
home run was the difference in the game today.
But that at bat against was masterful hitting, I thought, by Gonzalez. That's a veteran approach, veteran hitter. You know, that was Gonzalez's at bat there. He fought off some tough pitches and then got that. You know, he didn't try to swing for the fence. You know, they keep saying you can't. Like, this is why Seager is going to struggle against Chapman. He's a young guy, doesn't quite know how to shorten that swing a little bit on a guy who throws 100 miles an hour.
Right.
You know, he'll learn, but he's got a big swing because he's a tall guy, so his swing is not compact. And he's going to struggle against a guy like Chapman. But Gonzalez knows how to shorten that swing up. He knows he's just got to make contact with the ball.
Did you see him talking to Puig in the dugout before Puig struck out about what to do? You saw the camera rolling him. He's like, you see him put his hand on his shoulder. He's like, give him instruction on how to do that bat. Yeah, Puig struck out. And my dad turned to him and goes, who's giving Gonzalez the pep talk? Well, apparently Gonzo didn't need a pep talk.
He's
Actually,
a veteran. That's why
Puig had one really good swing and he just missed it. I did like the approach and he just missed it. Today I don't know what was happening. We'll get to that later with that 9th inning bunt. But
what was he thinking?
I don't know.
The Dodgers need to know how to bunt. Grandal was struggling with that a little bit today too, as well.
But he got it. Grandal got it down.
Actually, he did get it down. He did get it down. It was a nice little bit.
But Culberson the other day, I mean, are they not? Do they not teach bunting anymore? Is this something that's not taught? I imagine. I mean,
Just
It's like the
pitches, I
whales, they're
guess.
going extinct.
You know, I mean, I heard like somebody saying, I think it was maybe Oral in one of the post games, like maybe some people are like in that game 5, like, oh, what about bringing Kershaw in that situation, a guy that knows how to handle the back to get the bunter on? Well, because that maniac is probably going to pitch. You know, it's just like, wow. I mean, did you think going into that game 5 he had any chance of showing up in that game?
No, not at all. I honestly didn't.
He's just seemed physically spent at the end of that game 4, you know? And he pitched well, and like the numbers kind of don't show it because Baez let his entire runners in.
Well, and then and Avalon let in the other guys, and that was just.
Do you think that was the right move putting Avalon in that situation?
No,
I did not.
I disagree with that.
Yes,
that was a
yes,
spot.
thank you.
I know Dayton got hammered in the next game, but that was a spot where I wanted Dayton, the movement on Dayton's ball in that game.
Yeah.
That was. I questioned both the Baez and Avalon coming in those games. Now I like that Wood is on the roster now for this series, which I like.
Another lefty.
Yeah, and I would prefer Wood probably to come in some of those situations over
Use
Avalon.
him. Yeah, use him.
What the trouble is Avalon, you know, he comes. You need someone to come in and throw strikes. The trouble is Baez, because this was my issue when they had Jonathan Broxton for those few years as a closer. If he didn't come in and throw strikes, that was it. He was giving up a run.
Right.
Somehow someone was scoring. If he didn't come in and throw strikes, someone was scoring. Baez the same way. If Baez doesn't come in throwing strikes, and the issue is you can't hope they're on. I feel like a guy like Wood, a starter, I know he's a young guy, but he can come in there and just throw strikes. I know he doesn't throw hard, but he gets a lot of movement on that ball. So you need he's like a Blanton. You need guys who can
Mix it up.
Yeah, who can come in and throw strikes. That's
For whatever reason, Baez has apparently the most hittable 96-mile-per-hour fastball I've ever seen. For a guy who throws as hard as he does, opposing batters seem to love facing him because they give him a field day with it.
But going back to Game 4 of that series, it was frustrating because the Dodgers were striking out on pitches that were not strikes. That slider Ross was throwing, and he kept doing it. And veteran hitters like Utley and Kendrick were getting full. And you would think that those guys are good enough that they should just lay off that pitch. I mean, he didn't throw it for a strike once. It was not actually a strike.
Right. Guys
Guys were swinging at it and missing. And it was just at some point I was just like, can they stop swinging at this pitch? Just knock it off. And then Utley got lucky, I think, a little bit on that hit because it was a slider that he did swing at. It just didn't hook far enough down for the game-winning run.
Well, let's be happy that it did.
Yeah, I know.
We should.
But it was another one where again he swung at that slider twice, and it's like, just stop swinging at this pitch for the love of God.
Just Chase Utley adding to his resume of like being such a key cog in this Dodgers team.
Yeah,
this year. You know, like thank God we brought that guy back, who we all thought, or at least I did, and like pretty much all of baseball thought the guy was done.
He'd be lucky to come off the bench in some utility role, if that. And here he is, 36, 37 years old, and the leadoff hitter for Los Angeles Dodgers, who also, by the way, had, 13 home runs this year? 12, 13 home runs?
Yeah.
Crazy.
But the Dodger hitting woes have continued so far. And going into Saturday's game, they were 0 for 9 with bases loaded. You cannot leave runners like that. You just can't. And I can tell you right now that there's not going to be another 1-0 game versus the Cubs. This team is too good. That offense is too good. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, until Agon's got that base hit, you know, in the 8th to tie it at 3 in the game 1. They were 0 for 11 with the bases loaded.
0 for 11, excuse me.
11, yeah.
Well,
maybe before the game they were 0 for 9.
Grandal has left 17 men on base. Is that right? I believe 16. He's left 16 or 17 guys on base himself in the playoffs.
There have been games we have not helped ourselves. Like, again, 3 hits today. It's like the bats have got to get going. Because let me tell you something. The Cubs will get going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny. Like, the Dodgers and the Cubs are kind of very much mirror images at this point in the playoffs. Because, I mean, you look up and down that, like, prolific Cubs lineup, and it's like you got, like, Baez hitting, and, you know, Bryant was hitting, but, like, it's been kind of quiet
Rizzo's
this series.
1 for 23
Rendon?
now.
Yeah, Rizzo's not hitting. Russell,
Zobrist isn't really hitting.
all those guys were all-stars this year, you know? So it's like...
And Zobrist, to me, had a really bad at-bat against Kershaw in that 7th inning. Another one, a veteran guy, you know, he's been to the playoffs a few times before, and... You know, I believe Kershaw struck him out, right? I believe today in that 7th inning. Yeah, into the 7th inning. Didn't he strike him out? If I'm trying to remember right.
I think you might be right.
But it was it wasn't a bat where I was listening to Frank Thomas a little bit after the game, and Frank Thomas was like, Zorbas is a guy who, in this situation, when Rizzo drew the walk on 4 pitches, Frank Thomas is like, I don't care where he's hitting in the lineup, I'm not against Zorbas bunting. Because he's a guy who bats everywhere in the lineup. So this is a guy who can bunt. You have been desperate for anything. You finally got a guy on base. It's the inning Kershaw struggles. You have your hottest hitter coming up in this inning. He's like, I feel like this is a move where, since he's not swinging the bat well, you try to get that runner over.
Right.
And he wound up taking a really bad. I think he struck out on like 5 pitches too. On top of it, he wound up taking just a horrible at bat up there, and it made me start thinking, it looks like the Cubs are panicking and pressing a little bit, which you didn't see from them before.
Yeah. They've employed an interesting strategy so far with this game. They led the major leagues in walks, and their batters were taking a lot of first pitches today, which is fine, except when you're going against arguably the greatest pitcher on the planet, Clayton Kershaw, because you're immediately putting yourself down the count, and he made them pay for that today. And I thought that was kind of an unusual strategy that they really kept employing the entire game, where they were really taking that first pitch, and he just kept throwing it over for a strike. So,
yeah. Well, I think probably the plan was they're like, okay, this is Clayton's pitching in his 3rd game in 5 days.
We need to make him throw pitches.
Exactly, and get him out of this game, and let's get to that bullpen.
Except
I understand that reasoning, but what did he have, a perfect game going through the 4th or something?
Into the 5th.
Into the 5th.
4 2/3, I think.
Yeah, so at some point you gotta change that up if it's not working, especially in a key game like this.
Yeah, and I actually agree with that. It was curious to me because, to me, after the first go round, when it was the first time through the order, he was throwing strikes every time. I feel like the second time around, you need to switch that up a little bit. All right, he's lobbing this up here pretty much on the first pitch. Why don't we swing at it? Fowler's coming up. Let Fowler swing at that pitch, and they still didn't. Yeah. And I was kind of shocked because I feel like Madden would have adjusted to that. But
what an interesting duel this has been between Dave Roberts and Joe Madden. Like, I'm really kind of just loving these mind games. Who's batting? Who's pitching? No, we're going to take him out. It's so great. But this is managing at its best.
We glossed over Game 5, with Dusty Baker and Dave Roberts, and
you gotta feel bad for Dusty.
I don't.
No, I don't. Because you know why? Because this was
a Dodger, baby.
I know, but this was a guy who pulls Russ Ortiz out of the World Series, pitching the game of his life. I think he had 80 pitches into the 7th, takes him out for no reason, just because he wants to bring in his 8th inning guy. Yeah. That's the only reason he took him out. And then gives Russ Ortiz the game ball when he takes him out of the game. Before the game is over. And then now, after this, he admitted he was ready, he was packed and ready to go to Chicago. He was, we're going to win, we're going to go to Chicago.
Not today, Dusty, not today.
It was one of these things where I'm sitting there, I'm like, why? How has he not learned?
Yeah,
he's lost 9 straight times in an elimination game. How has he not learned at this point? It's
he thinks he's still coaching the San Francisco Giants. He has Barry Bonds.
It's just
he's living in the past.
It's just one of those. And then again, we saw that same situation where he brought in a righty to pitch to Turner, and Turner hits righties better than lefties. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why guys keep doing this. It's I don't know. I'm just, all these analytics and statistics, you would think that someone's telling him, no, don't bring in the lefty to face, or don't bring in the righty to face Turner. Keep the lefty in the game.
Right.
I really don't get it. I just
maybe they are, and he's just like, no, guys,
I have to bring in the lefty.
I'm the manager here.
Because that game, I mean, and then talk about ballsy, bringing Jansen in to try to go 3 innings.
That was amazing. And it's like we talked about earlier about him bringing Baez in when it probably should have been Blanton. Yeah. And because, going into the playoffs, it's like, yeah, the bullpen has been good for us this year and all that stuff. But, I mean, there's really one guy you trust. And if you go to 2 guys, it's Jansen and Blanton.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 guys that should be in that leverage situation.
And in Game 5, he brought Blanton in. In the 4th inning, was it? Yeah, I think he brought him in the 4th inning.
Maybe in the 3rd or something.
And yeah, maybe it might have been the 3rd. And that was where I was like, oh no, that was the right move at that point.
He learned in that 24-hour time period, He's like, okay, I can't play this, like I did in the regular season. It's like all hands on deck, like he said in his post-game presser and all this stuff. And really, these are the guys I trust in Blanton, boom. And then to bring in Kenley, and Kenley doing what he did, career high 51 pitches, and what did he pitch? 2 1/3 or something.
Yeah, 2 1/3, and then he brings in Kershaw against his nemesis Daniel Murphy or against the Dodgers' nemesis in general.
Dodgers' nemesis.
And you could tell like, I think you could tell Murphy was anxious because he swung at a bad ball and swung badly at that ball.
Yeah.
And he swung, the second pitch? He didn't even, the guy just pitched threw 100 pitches 2 days ago. You don't let him throw more pitches?
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that was very un-Murphy-like. It was...
Yeah.
So, and then, the poor kid, that kid had no chance against Kershaw.
I know,
that poor guy.
Yeah.
I don't even know who he is.
It's like...
last man on the roster there. I felt so bad for him.
Yeah. What was his last name? It was like...
Fact check.
like same as that actor who played the Green Goblin. I mean, what's that guy's name?
Oh, Franco?
No,
James
the
Franco?
father.
Yeah.
Defoe? Willem Dafoe?
Defoe.
Defoe.
Yeah.
D-I-F-O.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just, that poor kid, that poor kid never had a shot.
Yeah.
And in fact, we were down in Palm Springs visiting my father-in-law and watching the game at a bar, and I told him, I said, because he threw that bad pitch where the kid fouled it off, and he's like, what was that pitch? I'm like, that was a setup because he's going to throw him the curve on this one. And then sure enough, that's what he did. I'm like, it was just a setup pitch to make him, oh, look, I might throw you a fastball. No, I'm not.
Who's kind of been not really a surprising X factor, but you've talked about this specifically about Tolles coming off the bench and not really feeling that pressure, like coming into the game cold. And when he beat that play to third base, when he slid in for that,
Yeah.
I was like, I immediately thought of you, and I was like, I jumped out of my seat.
Tolles has been honestly amazing. Didn't you have 2 hits? You had 2 hits yesterday.
Hit
right?
over 2 today, but that's okay. 'Cause
Game 1, yeah. And like he finally got a start today. I would have liked to seen him get a
Yes.
start in the Game 1 of the NLCS. I mean, Lester's a guy that we're just throwing dots at the board to get someone that can hit lefties. So why not give this kid a shot who just seems to make things happen every time he's in there? Plus, he's fast.
Yeah.
Probably our fastest guy on the
Contact
team.
hitter. Yeah.
Lester is a guy that can't throw to first base.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it's like, I gotta think he's a quick guy who's, been trying to get in the big leagues forever. He's probably above average bunter. He could probably come in and make Lester field it through and airmail a few into the stands. It was shocking to me that he wasn't in there. And like, what else is shocking to me? The changes that were made up from the DS roster, the LDS roster, the LCS roster. Kike,
Yeah, I
why
know.
bring him back?
Why?
It's like the dude, he hit lefties last season.
Yeah.
This year, he hit a 190 clip. He was hitting 189 versus lefties this year. It's like they leave off Culberson, who's a better fielder than him, and Culberson hit over 300 versus lefties this year, albeit in like maybe 20 plate appearances. But even
better than
still,
the rest of the roster.
It's like, what is Kike? He's an average fielder at best. It's like, and then if you got like Tolles in that game and you put Kendrick at second,
His
you
natural
got
position.
Utley still at like, available in a pinch hitter role. Tolles probably catches that ball that goes over Kendrick's head in the second inning. Pretty much anybody that's a career outfielder makes that catch.
Oh, no,
I'm
I
not
agree with
knocking
that, yeah.
Kendrick because the
No,
guy's
he's
been
the-
a
he-
game up, done everything we've asked of him this year,
But-
got a big hit later.
But you're right. He misjudged that ball, and any other outfielder would have. A normal outfielder would have probably gotten that ball. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
And it was, it's. I would like to see Tolles. Just leave him out there. When I was watching that and he beat that throw, I was like, God, look at that speed.
Yeah.
Like we need to get this guy in the games somehow.
And
This
not just
guy
as like
needs to
platoon,
play.
like he needs innings.
Yes,
like,
he
not
does.
just like pinch run, maybe pinch hit, like late the game. Like he needs reps. I can't wait to see what this kid's gonna do as a full-time player, which seems to be his destiny as a major leaguer. So.
Yeah, Andre Ethier coming up with some big pinch hits.
Oh my God,
Got
boy.
that huge one on Game 4.
Home run.
That huge to left
kind
field.
of get things going.
Yeah,
you know?
he got that huge pinch hit to left field that it's the single, and then
Hit a home run the
hits
other
home
night.
runs the other night. They tied the game in the 8th. They wound up losing it in the bottom of the 8th, but it was. It was one of those things.
I'm
but,
so eating crow on that one.
Yeah, like Tolles got pinch hit for today too. I think and I was just like, why? Give him
They are obsessed with righty lefty, which
Yeah.
is odd because I thought a lot of analytics don't obsess with righty lefty.
I think they're obsessed with everything.
It's,
Every sort of situation. Dave Roberts has made some questionable managerial decisions. At least I thought so. I was really upset with that intentional walk a couple days ago to load the bases. I just feel like you don't want to do that, especially with like 2 outs. I understand
no
the force
way.
out, But I did not agree with that at that time. I know you
I was
agree.
100% behind.
I
that.
was not behind that. And
When I
You
was
got to get what's his name out of the game.
Chapman, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Chapman. You get Chapman out of the game. You put him in a situation where he's got to pull Chapman, and then it's like a situation where
Well, I actually didn't want Blanton in that game at that point, only for the reason of they flashed on TV. Montero hits lefties like 50 points worse than righties,
not that at bad.
and that was where and then the fact that Blanton had just thrown the intentional walk.
Yeah.
I really was a little. Well, he hasn't found he hasn't thrown something over the plate yet.
Right.
I was a little nervous, and I would rather have seen a lefty come in that game personally.
Well, the thing is like if a lefty comes in, Montero's pinch hit for by Contreras, and Contreras hits lefties over 300.
But I thought he
So-
used Contreras already in that
No,
game.
No, he
still
hadn't
had
used
him.
him.
So it was a situation where, basically, Doc is in a situation where it's all right. It's either Blanton versus Montero, or it's a youngin Dayton versus Contreras. Granted, another youngin, but and Blanton, like I say, is in that circle of trust. He got to 0-2,
Yeah,
and
I know,
then just hung that
and that
slider.
slider hung. Yeah, it was one of those things. Well, but
He hung the 0-1 slider too. He's lucky that didn't.
yeah, it was one of those games, and it was unfortunate, but I felt like the moves were right.
I definitely felt the moves
I know
were
you
right. It
disagree.
just didn't
I
work.
did not agree with that one bit. I just have a problem with base and loaded, making the base loaded with 2 outs. You don't. Who was coming up next on that at bat? It was he walked to get to Montero. Who was after Montero?
Fowler, right? Didn't the top of
Fowler.
the order
He's
come
gonna-
back up?
yeah, that's top of the order. I understand. All I'm saying, and I hate playing Monday morning quarterback, even though I guess it's kind of what we do on this show. But at the same time, it's like that easily could have gone the other way. And I just for that situation with 2 outs, I just was not a fan of that situation.
But it's forcing their hand,
Yeah.
and then you get Rondon in the game. It was a much easier hit.
And they got a
pitcher
run.
to
And they
hit.
got a run
Yeah.
off Rondon.
Yeah.
I mean, they did get a run off him.
That's true.
Pretty easily too. So it was one of those things where, yeah, the gamble didn't work, but I feel like the results would have been there had Blanton got out of that inning.
Yeah.
They really would have, because then they got to Rondon, and they scored. And he could have brought counter with Jansen there in the bottom of the night. I agreed with those moves.
Yeah.
Because I think if you get a chance to take Chapman out of that game, you take him out of that game.
I don't know if you saw this, and this is where I think like the Dodgers can get a little bit up in that guy's kitchen a little bit, old Chapman, because he hit Montero hit the grand slam, the whole dugout's going bonkers, and Chapman's there like, I can't believe
Really?
he's taking me out of the game.
Yeah.
You know,
an eye
I'm
guy.
like, oh, eye guy, not a team guy. So it's like, oh, all right, buddy. Is that going to serve you well the rest of the series?
He thinks he's got a 103 mile per hour fastball, and then he's unhittable.
Yeah.
Well, he's hittable apparently.
Today, I mean, Jock do that, 5-pitch walk today?
that was so huge.
And then
Oh.
stole the base because Chapman can't keep that. Jansen can't.
Bunted
either.
him over.
Yeah, neither one can get him over. And then Grandal did get down a great bunt
Yeah.
to get him over. And then Kike couldn't get it out of the infield. I mean, I know it's technically went in the outfield, but he couldn't get it out. And then Puig with that. I don't know. I'm assuming that was a squeeze bunt that he was
know
trying to
what
get
that
down.
was. With 2 outs?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know what was going on there. That was just bizarre.
That was on his own, obviously.
I
Don't
hope
think that
so.
came from the dugout.
No.
Someone, I told this to Josh earlier. Someone needs to create a GIF. Any fans of Dodger Draft 360 out there, please get on this. Of Dave Roberts' face in pressure situations. Went by the ball to the warning track. I don't know if you saw the camera pan on him. He was sitting down, and it was Honeycutt's reaction that he caught
Yeah.
it. Roberts was like, okay.
Thank God.
His face in pressure situations have been really kind of comical to me.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because he's such like an animated guy. Because when things are going good, he's out in the dugout, he's giving the signs himself. He's like
He gets
there, his
fired up,
presence.
dude.
Oh yeah, he gets fired up.
I love it.
Complete opposite of Don Mattingly, but he's very much a player's coach, and
Players rally around that,
They
too.
do.
Well, but
I mean,
what's funny is we see now in both series the Dodgers make a blunder, and then we saw the Nats remember when they sent Jason Worth for some inexplicable reason
Oh, my word.
in
What
in
were they
Game 5?
thinking?
I don't know what that third base coach was looking at, because he was 20 feet off the bag when Seager had the ball. I mean,
Yeah.
Seager took his time
Yeah.
and threw it home. And then we saw in Game 1 they sent Gonzalez.
also-
What
Yeah,
the
that
heck-
was
what
ridiculous.
was that?
That was ridiculous. He runs in slow motion.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, it's 2 outs. So I figured but it's like, did you remember who got that base hit? It was the pitcher. Okay, the pitcher isn't coming up.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be top of the order. It's like, And he's your slowest runner.
Yeah,
that's a stop sign, baby.
I did not get that because Lester was not sharp, and we should have scored more runs off him.
Yeah.
He wasn't that sharp in this outing. I mean, I know he was all bitter he got taken out of the game. I read all that stuff, but
I thought he was pretty sharp.
I thought it was pretty kind of on the money.
no,
there.
they-
That's why we were missing.
no, they should have gotten. I felt they hit the ball hard off him a few times, where they just happened to go at somebody. But in that, yeah, I didn't. When he sent Gonzalez, I didn't react. I was just sitting there going, "Wait, did that just happen?"
Who's our third base coach?
I forget his name.
Well,
But
fire him. No,
no, they fired the guy from the last year. What's his name was last year was much worse. I forgot who it was last year. I bashed him constantly.
David Lowe? No, he was first base.
No, so it'll be.
Oh, we got a question up here.
Oh, yeah.
On the board. So Hill is pitching game 3, right?
Yes.
They've announced. So
Yeah, it's going to be Hill Arrieta.
Yeah, Hillary at a game 3.
flashbacks of last August when Arrieta pitched the no in Dodger Stadium.
I love that. Thank you for for the question, Josie Bello. Who do you guys think starts game 4? Love that. It's got to be Arias.
I mean, we haven't seen him start a game yet. And
Yeah, I think it has to be. He pitched great in game 5.
Yes.
20-year-old, youngest player to get a win. Is that correct? The youngest pitcher to get a win, I believe.
I think
In the
that could be
playoffs?
true.
I think in the playoffs, yeah.
He was the youngest player to pitch in the playoffs since like 1970.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I do believe Urias is going to get the start. He may have a short leash, but I believe he's going to
give
get
him a
that
shot.
start.
Yeah, give him a chance.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
You know, and he was kind of like with all the, Kenley and the, obviously Kershaw hullabaloo. He was kind of flying under the radar with his effort that day. And
Yeah.
it was great. I mean, he deserves mad props now.
He came in and he shut them down, and he faced the heart of the order, and he shut them down. And I think you got to give him the shot to start game 4, especially if you win game 3.
Right.
You win game 3, that's huge. I think you got to give him the shot to game 4. There's not as much pressure on him because you've got the win in game 3. You can let him go out there. Yeah, he can have a short leash because you just got to worry he's not wild. That's the one thing because he does, like a lot of young pitchers, he has trouble finding the plate sometimes.
Right.
Kershaw was like that when he was younger. When he was first coming up, he walked a lot of guys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you just got to watch him being wild, but I think you got to give him the shot. He looked great in that game 5.
Yeah, he did.
He came in and shut it down, and then unfortunately Dayton just floated that ball to Heisey, for that home run. That was just one of those things. What are you gonna do? But I think he does start game 4.
I'd like to see him do it. It looks like we got an answer to one of our own questions here on the panel. The third base coach. Thank you, Joey.
Oh, awesome. Lorenzo Bundy.
Oh yeah, I
And
constantly-
Woodward is the coach now. So thank you for that right
Yes,
now.
Chris Woodward. That's right.
Bundy was so bad. Like he was one of these guys who constantly he sent people when they shouldn't be sent, and then held them when they shouldn't be held. It was just.
Did you almost want to tap him up like you're out? I'm in.
It was.
I'll do this
it got
now.
to a point where it became like a joke amongst our our Dodger fan friends all the time. Like,
You just got bundied.
or we used to say that especially I was already married, but my single friends would be like, "Wait, are you giving me the Bundy? Wait, what is that? Do I go? Do I stay? What do I do? I don't know what to do. Do I go hit on her? What do I do?"
Oh man.
So we got a big game coming up. 3, Hill versus Arrieta, and that's scary because Arrieta's done pretty well against the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium. So
He has.
Rich Hill, I thought, kind of got the early pull the other day.
too
too.
early.
Yeah.
Too early.
Yeah. But what I was loving was the fact that, and this just kind of speaks to how this team rallies around each other, was his attitude when he came and took the ball. He's like, all right, I gotcha. And he kind of slapped all the guys like on the chest, like,
yeah.
go get them, boys, And
Love that.
It's just, that's the kind of gamer attitude you get from a guy from Massachusetts.
Or how about Clayton Kershaw, who Roberts comes out and he taps his left hand for the bullpen. And how many pitchers in that situation can convince your coach that I'm actually staying in the game right now?
Yeah, right?
Not many people can do that.
Well, it's funny because I think this Dodger team has a different makeup, like what you were talking. My buddy texts me today. He's like, "Oh God, I'm so used to after a loss like they had yesterday of them just folding."
Right.
You know, that's normally what they did. And I told him, I said, no, this team is different. This team's a little different.
A little different
is.
energy, different light
Yeah,
with them.
you know, they when Kershaw went down, they picked each other up. They didn't dwell on it. Guys went down, another guy just stepped in, and it's a different team.
And that was big, not only because of what we were talking about earlier about, you know, maybe him getting a little wear and tear, less wear and tear on that shoulder and stuff by having that time off, but because of the fact they had a rally around themselves and kind of proved to themselves that we're good enough to play,
Yeah.
you know, at this level and make a run.
Although they have won 20 of his 24 starts, including the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty
great.
nuts, actually. This team is interesting, and this team can match the Cubs. They really can.
Yeah.
So
That's why I think it's going to go the
Hell of a
distance.
series.
yeah.
Do you guys think it'll go 7 or punch?
I kind of think so.
I actually think it will.
There's going to be a lot of nail biting in this one. One before we look ahead, which we already are, but I did want to give props to an at bat that didn't even result in a hit, but a walk. JT's versus Scherzer.
Oh my God, yeah.
That 13 pitch,
That took the wind out of Scherzer's sails.
big time.
It did. You could tell it did because he was mad. You could see that he was upset. And the next inning, he grooves one to Jock, and Jock crushed it out
Yeah.
to left field, no less.
And that's like we've seen at times this year of Jock really growing as a hitter, and that was just another example of that the other night, because that was a huge, breaking the ice versus Scherzer and going opposite field for his second opposite field homer of the year.
Yeah.
It was and he went bonkers, obviously.
And he got all of it too. It was
yeah.
there wasn't a question of, oh, is it going to go? Is it going to go? Like Ethier's little bit yesterday. Wait, that carried? Like it was almost like,
Yeah.
whoa, that carried out of here.
Hey!
but Jock, he got all of that, and you could tell. And you could tell that. I mean, I still think Baker prematurely pulled Scherzer at that point. Myself,
Yeah, I agree.
I think Baker panicked. And it was funny because I leaned over to my father-in-law. I said, "Ooh, he panicked. That means we're gonna win this game." I actually said that. I said he panicked. He's like, "What do you mean?" Because I know
What did he pull him at 100 pitches?
Yeah, 99. I think it was 99.
Wow.
And it was one of these things where you got the bottom of the order up. Maybe you leave him out there. Like today, I know Baez knocked that ball off Kershaw, but the bottom of the order was coming up. I might have thrown him out there for one hitter just to see what happened.
Kersh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it was the bottom of the order. It was, but
I think he had Kenley warm, and he just was like.
I gotta get Jansen was lights out
Lights
today.
out, dude.
Struck out 4 of the 6 guys.
Four strikeouts
the
in 2
man.
innings. Yeah,
Pay
right.
the
Oh,
man.
He will.
Pay the man.
Oh, his agent's running around the office going ching.
Oh.
She's holding out the box score. He's like, "Are you seeing this right here?"
Big time. Have you seen my client's last 2 appearances? Hello. He's doing something he never did before and pitching 51 pitches, and then following up with nothing he's never done before with the 6-out save.
Yeah, like
Boom.
if he can be that Mariano Rivera guy for the playoffs, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a difference maker.
There have been a couple of difference makers in the playoff series. Kenley being one, Kershaw, and Justin Turner. Like, we've come to depend on his bat so much for every series, especially now when, everyone's quite pulling their weight right now, but he has been consistent. He has been there with timely hits. That triple off the center field wall the other game. Whew.
Another free agent to be right there.
Yeah, I know.
How much money do we have in our
arsenal?
arsenal right now to pay these guys?
Well,
That's the question.
they have a lot. It's just a question of whether or not they're going to do it.
They have the Moneyball, so to speak, quote unquote, executive, which is funny because you got this bag full of money in the ownership, and then you have Friedman who comes from school without that Moneyball, penny pitching, find these diamond in the rough players. So it'll be interesting to see who they shout out to and who they don't. Because I'd like to see them keep both, but I don't know that they will.
Yeah, I think Turner's going to end up in the red and white of the Boston Red Sox.
What are they going to do with Sandoval?
Who?
Isn't he still owed like $60 million?
Yes.
How many years?
Play a little first. Maybe a
Was this
little
his
DH.
first year with the Sox or second?
Sandoval's?
Yeah.
This was his second.
So he's got 3
Seconds.
more years left on his deal?
I think, 2 or 3. But rumor has it he lost 20 pounds. But we digress. This is a Dodgers show.
But I still have to bring up that his belt
yeah.
exploded off his stomach during a swing earlier this year. That just needs to be reiterated. If you can YouTube that, YouTube Sandoval's belt coming bursting open as he was taking a swing.
I love my cross-sport comparisons. He might be the Eddie Lacy of baseball.
Wow. Eddie Lacy. So, Rich Hill, former Long Island Duck, gets the ball in Game 3. and going versus Arrieta, who's been not as dominant as he was last year.
Still pitching no hitter against us this year.
Be nice to get that game 3. Kind of need it.
It would be. It's huge, especially because I really think it allows you. It makes it no question that Urias is going to start game 4 if you get that win.
Say they lose, do they come with Alex Wood?
I hope not. I don't think you can. I don't think you
He
can.
hasn't, but he hasn't gotten. My issue is he just hasn't pitched enough.
Yeah.
I think you have to go. I think Urias is the guy. I think he is.
Youthful exuberance. He doesn't know any better. He just comes out there and fires.
Okay, coach.
Unless you really want to throw out Stripling or one of these guys. Stripling actually pitched good.
I think
yesterday.
I think Stripling would be a better option. I think it'd be Urias, Stripling, and how many days of rest Kenta has now? Would that be by that point, by game 4?
No, it's not enough. He
Yeah.
needs
enough.
that extra rest. That's just kind of who he is.
Yeah.
So at some point, we really got to start resting Kenley because he's been pitching an awful lot.
We did get the game off yesterday.
One game. He's also been pitching 3 innings, 2 innings, 3 innings.
Although today, did he only throw like 15 pitches to get 6 outs? It was
Yeah,
like kind
so-
of ridiculous today, right?
Yeah, under 20, I think.
Yeah.
And, tomorrow's a travel day or whatever.
All right.
They'll travel tonight. Tomorrow's the day off. That guy, he wants the ball, baby. And,
does want the ball.
I'm very impressed with him
He
at this
threw
point.
18 pitches to get 6 outs today. That's pretty good.
That's efficient,
Yeah.
He looked at how efficient Kersh was being,
Yeah, Kersh 84 pitches today.
Insane.
When Kersh got that save a couple days ago, I heard a fun fact on TV about this. It was his last save since he was in the Gulf Coast League when Kenley Jensen was his catcher.
Nice. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So we're probably going to wrap it up here. We got a couple minutes left. What do you guys want to talk about?
We got a hit for game 3. I think that goes without saying. We got to get the bats going.
I mean, we got to see Seager hit outside of the first inning.
Yeah, I know.
He only can hit in the first inning, evidently.
But apparently it's for runs though.
Yeah.
No, we do. He's. I mean, I know he had a couple good 2 home runs against the National, but he is in a little bit of slump. So
Not the time to be slumping.
No.
When is it ever a good time to be slumping?
Yeah.
But not now.
no, but at least it looks like Agon's come alive because he did not come alive in that Nats
Getting
series.
better at bats.
Until the home run against the Nats, he did not. He was not there at all.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's nice to see Agon come around a little bit. We need Puig to get a hit somewhere.
Yeah.
Has he gotten a hit this postseason? He has not.
He hasn't been starting most of the games either.
No, but I think
So
he's still 0 for 10.
Right.
So, this
Reddick's
postseason.
hitting a little bit.
Yeah,
so
we
that's
got a
good.
hit today. One of the 3 hits today, besides Kershaw
Yeah.
and Agon.
Okay, today, was that an infield fly? Should the infield fly rule have been called?
No.
No, you don't think so?
I mean, did it even get above his head? It was like, it's got to be kind of a pop.
I don't know. It was one of those things because Baez laid off of it on purpose.
Yeah.
And to me, when a guy lays off on purpose, I feel like that's when the rule should be called.
Right. But it was like still kind of gray area.
It was.
He kind of maybe laid off on it too because he didn't want to lunge or
Yeah.
something, so he played it on a hop. So it was. I thought that was a good call. And that kid's a heady player. That Baez.
He is. Baez is good.
They showed that montage of him, I think, in game 1, or maybe it was in the Giants, of him like slapping tags, like Joe Madden saying this guy's really good at slapping tags, and like they showed a montage. It was ridiculous. This is the best second base tagger I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, Baez is ridiculous, and he's really coming of age right now in the playoffs.
How old is he?
22?
Yeah, he's young.
Maybe 23.
23? Yeah, he's a young guy.
He's got a
yeah.
great career ahead of him.
Yeah, so
Oh boy, I'll tell you.
But hopefully not this year. Hopefully
I just hope we can get him out.
True. All right, gang. I think we're gonna sign off. Thanks
All right.
thanks for tuning in. For Hunter Marks and Joshua Gershon, I am Mike Conley. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you,
Especially you guys
guys.
that were in live with us.
Shout out
We
to Joey
appreciate
Bosa.
that. Thanks
Go
for
Dodgers.
Yeah, this has been another edition of Dodgers Rap 360. Go Dodgers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.